Welcome in, and thanks for joining us for another edition of Under the Bus, where three old guys who've been around the block a few times extol the virtues of sports. Yeah, but we also throw a lot of sports people under the bus. I'm Bob Stevens from ESPN SportsCenter's Glory Days, joined by Curry Kirkpatrick of Sports Illustrated's Golden Days and Hall of Fame coach Rich Basirico from basketball's Golden Days. Let's start. Let's start with that sweatshirt, Curry. That's got to be top of the line.
Curry College, Milton, Massachusetts is the location of Curry College, and I did not buy it. I do not own it.
But you are wearing it. You are wearing it.
I am wearing it. That's right.
Okay.
Famous athletes from Curry College?
I like the purple. Myself is the only famous athlete I know.
I guess we need to begin with New Year's football. Nick Saban and a couple of his offensive coordinators go onto the bus for their semifinal losses or not?
I think so. I think the play call in the overtime was awful. Fourth down, you got to get into the end zone, and you do a quarterback draw. Not from that, he had a lot of success running the ball in the middle of the field, but when you're down that tight, close, I did not think that was a good call. I mean, I think get him out and get him in space,
right?
See if he can pass.
Get him in space.
Right, so he can pass or run.
Yeah.
I mean, he committed to that run, and that was it. He had no chance of getting in.
Yeah, and they had a lot of space to the left. I thought they should have gone to the left and send a guy deep in the end zone and send a guy short, and then Milrose has got his choice of what he's going to do.
Correct.
I thought all four downs were stupid calls, though. Rich, remember, Milrose threw it into the flat at one point, and I didn't get it.
Well, here's what's interesting to me. So during the timeout and overtime, when the players came over to the sideline, Saban was in the middle of all of them, in the circle with the coordinators.
Yep.
He didn't say a word. He did not say one.
Well, no,
word.
but Rich, the TV didn't show the whole thing. He's moving around. I think he was talking a bit. But did you read where he changed the play all three times? In other words, when he called timeout, he had a play. When he called timeout, he did another play. When he called the second timeout, he did another play. So he switched plays, and he didn't tell anybody what the other two plays were. But I'll tell they were better than the one they ran. They had to be.
He didn't tell his players either because they do a very good job of executing.
Maybe he told Michigan, or maybe Michigan just found out.
Well, speaking of assistant coaches, speaking of assistant coaches, how about our boy Harbaugh? Who made a line about 10 times in the week prior to the game that I'm like Moses. I'm going to die on my leaning on my staff, and then he praised his staff of assistant coach. That's a great line, right? But he's praising them. But who is his special teams coach? In the game yesterday.
That was a sloppy game.
I think his special teams coach is his son.
Oh,
I think so. I hope so.
Why did they change the guy receiving the ball late in the game? What you put him in that situation?
Because he was a senior. Because he was a senior. The guy that's
you have a chance to get a national championship game.
The guy that screwed up. Yeah, but the guy that screwed up earlier was a freshman. So they put the senior in to receive that punt. That guy's name is Jake Thaw. The guy that fumbled the punt and just barely recovered. I mean, if he doesn't recover that, they're going to take years to thaw him out.
Right.
I mean, Jake Thaw, what a great name.
Michigan,
but the two games were fabulous, don't you think? I mean,
they were terrific. They were entertaining, very entertaining.
Yeah.
Did you stay up to the end of the Washington game?
Oh yeah, I stay up to the end of.
So they had the ball on the 12-yard line for 4 downs, and the last down they used fade to the corner. Come on.
Yeah. Again, all 4 calls were terrible calls, and they've got what's his name, the Texas quarterback, throwing into the flat for first down, and it gets nothing. I mean, I couldn't figure these guys out when they get down the quote red zone. It's like NFL teams. they screw up in the red zone more than ever. But Bob, what did you think of the last play, the throw into the corner of the end? Did you see it? Were you up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you're throwing that the boundary, as we've talked about before. The boundary gives you another defender.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just like having the guy double covered. And
a lot of people thought that was pass interference. What did you think?
They're not going to call
not
it.
on the last play of the game.
They're not going to
call it. The last play of the game.
The thing is, if they called it, it wouldn't have been the last play of the game. The point is, the guy put his hand on his left hand on the shoulder and catapulted up so he could bat the ball away. But I thought maybe they were going to call it because he put his hand on the receiver's shoulder to catapult himself up.
Yeah,
and he got into. I don't know. It was never debated
to run a play to go to the national championship game, to run a fade. Every team, NFL, college, have this fade play. Let's go to analytics. How many times does that play work? I mean, it's got to be such a touch pass to the corner with, like Bob said, the sideline, the back of the end zone.
Well,
it's got to be a perfect pass.
Well, and it was. The thing is, it was a perfect.
Texas deserves to lose.
The thing it was a perfect pass. The problem is the defender made a great play, knocking it away. Now I'm not sure whether that was pass interference knocking it away, but he did make a great play on it. Don't you think?
One of the few great plays the Washington secondary made in that last drive. I mean, Texas cut through them like a hot knife. Hot knife through butter. They got the ball back with a minute to go, and they were on their own 35, and they got it all the way down to run 4 plays inside the 15. Wow.
But Washington was controlling the game in the third quarter. They just, I thought when they went ahead 13, there was a couple possessions there where Penix was throwing it everywhere. In fact, I think even Sean McDonough said, "Well, they're just playing around here. They're playing around." And I thought they should have gone for the jugular when they're up 13. Yeah, instead, they were having Penix throw at everybody, and they were going out of bounds, and they lost a couple possessions where they didn't score. They let Texas get back in. It's stupid.
They did, but Penix was outstanding. He had 430 yards passing. Their running game, Washington, was not very strong, but their passing game. He had 2 receivers over 100 yards.
Yeah, I think
he was tremendous. I did not realize that he transferred from the Indiana University. Did you know that?
Well, and he got injured. He got injured every year at Indiana.
Right.
He got injured every year.
I never heard of him at Indiana University. Never heard of him.
Oh, I remember him. I remember him because he was a big. I remember him. He was a big name coming out of high school. But
he actually made Indiana pretty good for a while.
Yeah,
those were good years. Were the years he was there.
Right. And then he got hurt. But I think Rich and I both had this. My takeaway from the whole bowl season is Georgia is the best team. They didn't even get in, and Penix should have won the Heisman Trophy. I mean, there's no question about that. Yeah. And so, and Rich and I said that also a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he really impressed me.
Georgia was the best team. I know we all agreed that Penix probably should have won the Heisman, and
you don't think Georgia? I think Georgia if Georgia played them all 4 teams, they beat them all. I think. Now they didn't beat it. I know they lost to Alabama, but as I continue to say, one bad game in 3 years. Georgia should have been able to defend.
It wasn't that bad. I mean, how much did Bama beat them? It wasn't much.
No. Yeah.
Well, the sad thing is when you lose, when there's only 4 teams going to the playoffs, when you lose at the end of the season, you're screwed.
Right.
You lose early in the season. Okay, not so bad.
Let me point out something about the sacred Big Ten. Michigan barely won this game. Okay. Do you know what the other 4 teams from the other 4 best teams in the Big Ten did in bowl games? Well, not only lost. Ohio State got embarrassed. They made 1 field goal against Missouri. 1 field goal. That's all they made.
Yeah.
Iowa.
Penn
State got rolled by Mississippi. Yep. Iowa scored 0 points against Tennessee. 0.
Right.
And Wisconsin, which played out of nowhere. They played out of their minds, and on offense, they gave up a 98-yard drive in the last couple minutes to a second-string quarterback from LSU.
Right. Yeah.
So the SEC won all 4 of those games over the 4 of the 5 best teams in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. So don't tell me this Big Ten. I'm so sick of the Big Ten. Whatever.
You're so right. So what do we have in the title game? 2 Big Ten teams.
That's right now.
Who are going to play again next October.
Right.
I mean, they're already on schedule.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just a conference game when they play in Seattle next October. Who wins the title game?
I like the upset. I like Washington. But as Jim Harbaugh says, who has it better than us? Nobody. I'm so sick of him. Get him out of here. Hey, I know what I want to ask you guys. I'm not as big a football guy as you guys are, but Harbaugh, Michigan down 7 in their own territory, driving late. It's like 3 minutes to go. Harbaugh has a 4th and 2.
Right.
Okay. And he has to, the decision is punt it or go for it. And so he went for it, and the announcers are slobbering over him how great a call this was. One unbelievable gutsy call. You guys, isn't that the only call he has to do? If he punts it, Alabama's going to have the ball with 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
You don't think Saban? You don't think Saban? Well, so what? So what? 3 timeouts. Milroe. What?
I agree with you.
Milroe could have done some serious damage in 3 minutes to go. He's going to run it, and he's a terrific runner.
What was the play call then on 4th down?
They went to Blake Corum. They threw a pass.
A pass in the flat.
They should have run him more. He's a stud. They should have given him the ball. I'm not a big fan of J.J. McCarthy. First pass of the game, an interception.
That
was turnover.
Oh, I know. Well, it was a real sloppy, both teams. But I didn't know Corum was only 5'7".
Oh yeah,
he's tiny. He's tiny. How can they not stop the guy? But anyway, I thought the call. You guys put yourself in the coaches in that position. Right. Don't you have to go for it rather than punt and give it to Alabama?
I think so because you don't never know you're going to get the ball back.
Right. That's what I thought.
Make the play.
That's what I thought. I thought it's an obvious call to go for it. But
if
but
Alabama uses the same play call in overtime. If Alabama uses the same play call in overtime, they probably we're still playing.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Herb Street was still slobbering all over Harbaugh in the post game, like 3 hours later. Herb Street's going, I want to talk about that call at Jim Harbaugh, so brave, a lot of guts, and give me a break.
Rich, who you got in the title game?
Here's what. Okay,
I'm gonna go with Curry. I'm gonna go with Washington. I just think I do. I think Penix is so good.
Yeah.
And Michigan was so good defensively in the first half, and then Alabama, Milrose, he just ran all over them. Now, Penix doesn't run as well as he does, but he sure throws better than he does.
Well, and they have the great receiver Rome Odunze, who I've said all along I think he's better than Harrison. He's a terrific receiver. That guy.
They've got 3 great receivers. Yeah.
Yeah. They have the best receiver.
Who do you think, Bob? Who do you think's going to win?
Michigan. I was impressed by the pressure they were able to put on Milroe.
Right.
I think they can do that on Penix, and that's going to be a problem. I mean, Washington's lack of a running game is going to hurt them.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a feeling it's going to reach up and bite them.
Well, and their best runner got hurt, right?
My head says Michigan.
Their best runner got hurt at the end of the semifinal game the other night.
Yeah,
Johnson, he got hurt. He re-injured his leg. If he can't play, that's a real problem. You're right.
Yeah, and you're right, Bob. If they put enough pressure on Penix, it could be a long night for them. But if he has time to throw,
the greatest passing though. Have you ever seen a guy just put every pass right on the money all night long?
Yeah, he's a rocket. He's so accurate, even from
different
70
yards.
Yards.
I mean, he's over the top, sideways. He was unbelievable. All right, Up next.
Can I give you one thing? Just one thing.
One more.
The problem with Michigan winning the national is we're going to hear for hours and days after Harbaugh and all the Michigan players how they overcame adversity. We overcame adversity. You know what? Adversity is injuries. Adversity is shootings on campus. Adversity is not getting caught cheating. That's what they got caught cheating. I mean, that's like Donald Trump saying, adversity and, wait a minute. That's what he runs his campaign on.
They overcame adversity. Yeah.
Yeah.
On his way to prison. Up next, the NFL field is almost set. We're going to throw folks under the bus for this last week. We're going to forecast who will let it get it all the way in the final weekend before the playoffs. Under the bus is just getting warmed up. Stay with us.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to Under the Bus. Curry Kirkpatrick and Rich Basirico, along with me, Bob Stevens. First one under the bus, me in the NFL for not playing Lamar Jackson in my fantasy league third place game. He scored 53 points, and I lose by 3 because I played Brock Purdy against the worst pass defense in the league. I know Curry doesn't go for this.
You didn't ask me for my advice. Bob, you didn't ask for advice.
I did, and you told me play Jackson. You gave me the right advice. I didn't listen. Done. I lost by 3 points, and I deserve to lose.
When are we getting back to the real world here?
You picked the MVP. You got to ride with it, right? Ravens and Niners look like Super Bowl favorites. Anybody argue with them?
Well, speaking of Lamar Jackson, I think I had this. They beat the Dolphins. Embarrass the Dolphins, embarrass the 49ers. Lamar's MVP. I think I had that, but next.
I think you did have that.
I think they're all separating, Rich, aren't they? The Ravens have separated themselves from the rest of the AFC.
They definitely have. I mean, they like you just mentioned about them beating up on the Dolphins, who everybody's thinking about. They might be a team that can make it, in the playoffs. But I want to go back. I want to go to the Cowboys, who everybody was praising about the Cowboys and how well they play. And they are so lucky to beat the Lions. How about
that call?
Well,
was that the worst?
Goes to the 2-point conversion on the 2-yard line, and then they have a penalty. So they go back to the 7. He still goes for it. He still goes for the 2-point conversion from the 7-yard line.
Three times.
I don't.
But the time that counted was the official not knowing which guy was reporting in. I mean, that's a fireable. Isn't that a fireable offense? Their official.
They downgraded the officials they won't do some playoff games now because of that.
Allen, his name is Allen, that made the mistake, and it cost Detroit the game. It totally cost Detroit the game because it was a great call, great play, and the 2-point conversion to the tackle.
Right.
Who said he reported? I believe him more than I believe the ref. Right.
And now
the ref admit their mistakes.
They want to, yeah.
But the whole, I want to talk about the Eagles. What has happened to the Eagles? They were in control of this whole thing all season, in control of the division, the whole season. In the last few weeks, they've totally collapsed. Last week, they gave up 4. Arizona scored on their last 4 possessions. The Arizona Cardinals against the Eagles.
Repeat that. Arizona scored 4 on their last 4 possessions.
Exactly.
They were 3-12 going into that game. They were 3-12 going into that game.
Well, so the Eagles let Arizona beat them. It also meant the Eagles let the Cowboys have home field, because the Cowboys are going to beat the Redskins, right? And they're going to have home field. They're going to have home field, and you can't beat them at home. But they're terrible on the road. So I think the Cowboys are in good position now, as much as we all hate them.
And now the Eagles will probably have to go on the road. And
yes, exactly. Exactly.
I read some things about the Eagles in the locker room wasn't good. I don't know. Some
Oh,
guys
yeah.
were having problems with each other, and that to me could be the problem with it. How do you go from being so good and at the top of the league and doing so poorly over the last couple of games? I mean, they were lucky to beat the Giants. I mean, come on, give me a break. They played the Giants this week.
Speaking of which, just one more comment on your Giants. How about your kicker? You don't have a kicker, right? They got the kicker, the field goal kicker in the last week. They signed him. Mason Crosby or Bing Crosby or David Crosby. I mean, David Crosby could have made that kick, and they missed the kick. And
the call by the head coach, instead of they put the ball and they run the ball, Barkley, and they lose a couple yards. A couple yards makes a difference in a field goal. Makes a big difference.
I think it was the Crosby that shot JR. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's some they ought to hire some Crosby.
Yeah, well, I think it was Bing Crosby because that's the way he would kick the ball like
that. He kicked it. Yeah, he kicked it. I think Bing would kick it better than Mason.
Hey,
but anyway, that's all for the Giants.
Anybody from either AFC or NFC South going anywhere? Boy, they're just awful, aren't they? The South in both conferences. Terrible. We're going to end up with Jacksonville and Tampa Bay coming out.
Yeah, I watched that game. That they called that the free agent special. They said between New Orleans and Buccaneers, and the Saints paid $400 million to what's the guy's name in New Orleans that came from Oakland? The quarterback.
Oh, Derek Carr. Yeah,
Derek Carr. They paid him $400 million. The Buccaneers paid Mayfield $4 million. And so they were facing each other. And in the pregame, the brilliant Terry Bradshaw said, "It's a terrible deal, Derek Carr. Saints got to get a quarterback. He's not the long-term answer. It was a terrible, terrible, terrible deal." And then Carr ends up beating Mayfield, and now we have a tie in that. But, they say if the Bucs win, here's what I don't understand. The Bucs and Saints are tied. If they both win, how did the Bucs get in? Why are they the champions of the division?
Well, tiebreaker. They won the first game between the two of them.
But they didn't win the second game.
Right.
The game Sunday, they got killed.
They're even. But their record in the division is probably
so.
Better.
There's all these other things in division.
Yeah, tiebreakers. Yeah.
And the Falcons, Falcons still have a chance to get in to win the division too. The Falcons have a chance.
And how awful are they? Oh my goodness.
They're terrible. They're terrible.
They have no quarterback.
All right, which coaches are going to be gone next Monday?
How about? Well, he's not going to be gone. But how about Mike McDaniel of the Dolphins? He's playing. He's praying as that pass rusher Bradley Chubb in a game they're losing 56-19, and he's got Chubb in the fourth quarter, and he goes down for season-ending injury. I mean, what was he thinking?
That hurts.
McDaniel having his guys play. Meantime. Do you play? You don't play the guy from Baltimore this week. You don't play him, right?
Lamar Jackson.
No, Baltimore sits people. The Browns are already going to sitting people, and they're all they are is a wild card. They're going to have to go on the road anyway, but they're going to sit. They're going to.
So they're going to sit. They're going to sit people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that if you're a coach and you've got and you're safe. But if you're the coach of the Carolina, probably the Bears. How about the Carolina owner? That was sweet, huh?
So throwing water, right?
Yeah,
throwing water on the fan.
Yeah,
throwing drinks at the fans.
On top of that, the worst record. They don't have their pick anymore. They traded it to the Bears.
Well, they're terrible. Well, David Tepper, you killed him. You killed him early in the season, Bob. You've been all over him.
Well, he should be smarter than he is.
Did you see me through the drink at the fan?
Yeah.
Tepper, because the fan yelled something at him. So this guy's worth this hedge fund guy is worth $20 billion. I read, and he has a quote. He said he's glad he's rich now. He said because now this was his quote: "If a waiter is an asshole, I can buy the place and fire the waiter." that's
what he's done with his football team. He's gone through what, half of the
exactly. But I got the question: if the owner is an asshole, You can't fire him. What's the problem?
Well, he needs to fire most of his players.
Curry, remember, I was
a very good
Cleveland
team
during
at
the
all.
last of the Art Modell days. You couldn't fire, the Browns fans wanted to get rid of Modell, and they unfortunately did by letting him just move the team to Baltimore. And then they got who they thought was going to be a great owner, Al Lerner, who turned out not to be any good, who was kind of like Tepper. He was a minority owner that you thought, well, gee, he'll know how to do it now. But yikes.
Tepper's a total bozo. Well, you asked who the coach is going to be fired, right?
Yeah. What coach? I mean, Black Monday. They call it Black Monday, the day after the season ends.
Yeah, Rich. Who's the first, Rich?
Well, my first thing came to mind was San Diego, but he's already been fired.
Right.
Right. And then the Bears, Raiders? They say, Bears has improved. They've done much better.
I think the Bears guy is staying. I think the Bears guy is staying.
How about the Jets? What do you think about the Jets coach?
He might go. But the first to go is going to be the Washington Commanders. Rivera. Is that his name? Right. Rivera? He's out. He's out.
How about the Falcons? Falcons is another one that maybe.
Yeah. He should be. I don't know. He doesn't do it for me. I mean, Falcons.
Not for me either. But that division is so winnable that whoever comes in could be coach of the year next year. Yeah. Real easy because they've got an awful lot of talent. Strangely enough.
Let's see. Rich, does your boy Dayball stay?
Yes, he'll stay for one more year for sure. I think
when he continues to
last year.
He was coach of the year, right? Early. He was coach of the year. They're not going to get rid of him after 1 year, but maybe if they don't make the playoffs next year, possibility they can get rid of him.
If they get Norm Crosby not so much field goals, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, you want to talk about Bob? You want to talk about the new UFL? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Well, spring football, which I know Rich loves spring football.
Not really.
So the XFL and the USFL merge, and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is responsible for all this, right? He was all over the airwaves on Saturday and Sunday, talking about the new UFL. But he mentioned one thing, he has some new franchises, and Memphis is one of them. So they're going to be in Memphis. Thank goodness. Who cares? And The Rock said, I wanted Memphis. I wanted Memphis to be one of our cities because I started my wrestling career in Memphis at 40. He said at $40 a match, I started my career in Memphis. So if that's the reason for these cities getting, franchises, I'll pass.
Memphis is one of those cities like Birmingham and a couple of the other ones that they have in this league that'll support them.
I know. They get Rock. The Rock claims they get 30,000. They'll get 30,000 a game in Memphis. But I just, Rich, March 30, opening day, Birmingham against Arlington, the two winners of the two other leagues.
Well, I can tell you on March 30th, I will not be watching that.
I know what you'll be watching. The NCAA tournament regional finals is that day. Exactly. I don't think I'll be watching.
Exactly.
There you go. And that's what we're going to talk about next. They're perfect lead into all of that. No Taylor Swift this week?
Well, we get Taylor in the third segment 3.
Oh, okay. Well, we were going to talk basketball, but I wanted to get Taylor in there. Okay, we're going to talk about Taylor when we come back. That's a perfect tease. Basketball and Taylor Swift when we come back under the bus. All right, here we go. Taylor Swift update, and then we're going to talk some hoops because that's what Rich has been waiting for almost 30 minutes to do. Curry, give us our Taylor Swift update.
Well, everybody was starting to call Taylor the Yoko Ono of football, and Yoko broke up the Beatles, and Taylor's going to break up the Chiefs. But she had another win last week, and Taylor and Travis Kelce wore matching jackets to the games, and she's in the booth, and they showed her every time anything happened. But while we were gone a couple of weeks ago, Taylor was in the Boston game, is in the Gillette Stadium. There was a non-call at Kelce got a pass interference and no call, and they shot to the booth, and Taylor looked like she was doing an F-bomb, a total F-bomb. Did you see that?
I didn't see it.
They no, she was. I mean, she was like
the rest of us, right?
The broadcasters tried to say she was saying foul, but I don't think she was saying that. But anyway, I think things are fine.
How hard would you be pushing for that story if you were still at Sports Illustrated? How hard would you be pushing to do the Taylor and Travis story?
We'd already done it 4 weeks ago. Already done it. Yeah. Big time.
Would you have gotten it or would who would have beaten you out for that?
I don't know. I would have tried for it. I would have tried to battle for it, even though I didn't do pro football, but it's not a pro football story. It's American romance story, which we all love. But Taylor's still around. Rich, it took Kansas City 6 field goals to win Sunday. I mean, who needs Mahomes when you have Harrison Butker, the butt kicker? He kicked 6, a couple of them from 50.
Which is kind of crazy because you think Kansas City would be able to finish and score, some touchdowns. I don't think they go far in the playoffs. I think they're struggling right now.
You think Kelce's struggling because of Taylor, right?
No, I just think the team is not playing like they're capable.
Well, they never get the ball. They never get the ball to Kelce anymore. I mean,
he only had like 16 yards, right, Bob? Yeah. You were hoping Kelce wouldn't do well.
They got no wide receivers. I mean, Rashid
Rice keep dropping.
Better, but he's got no place else. The only guys they drop more balls than anybody. I mean, they're awful. Right. And that's a tough one.
They're also going to have to. Aren't they also going to have to play on the road? They have to start on the road, right? Kansas City.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost in the first round. It would not be.
Could happen. Very easily could happen. Let's see. Let's talk hoops. College first
basketball. Well, college basketball on this past weekend. 3 teams who were ranked and playing really, really well before Christmas. Florida Atlantic just came off a win over Arizona. They were 10-2 going into the game. They were favored by 17.5 points and lose to Florida Gulf Coast. Florida Gulf Coast, who was 5-9. They lost by 4.
I think Florida Gulf Coast lost to Florida Longbow Key.
St. Leo.
No, I don't know. I'm just kidding.
But think of that. So here you come off a win over Arizona, and then you lose to Florida Gulf Coast, who's 5-9. Then you go to Arizona, who is favored by 12.5, and they play a team who has a record of 5-6, and you lose by 18. By 18 to 18. That's
and let me tell you, they lost to at Stanford. They lose 18.
18.
And let me tell you about Stanford. Stanford was in the Bahamas, so I saw them. They lost all 3 games. They lost all 3 games. They lost to Michigan. They lost to Arkansas, and they lost to Northern Iowa by 22.
Wow.
Stanford, and now they've.
How do you beat Arizona? I mean, I know home court advantage is big, especially in basketball, but come on.
But 18, 18.
And then 12.5, lose by 18. And then Virginia, which is one of your favorite teams, lost. They were favored by 9.5, and they lost by 22 at South Bend. Now, listen to this. Notre Dame before Christmas lost to the Citadel by 20.
By 20.
And now they beat Virginia by 22.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I don't understand that. And nobody's ever. Well, Tony Bennett's. I thought this was his most athletic team, as the lights go out. But they lost to somebody else early in the season by 20, and I don't think Tony Bennett's ever lost 2 games in a season by 20.
Yeah.
Till this year. Well,
I watched the Citadel Notre Dame game. I'm a fan of the Citadel. My dad graduated from there, and they just took it to Notre Dame at South Bend. I mean, think about the
Yeah.
Citadel wins
Yeah, I know.
an ACC school by 20 on their home court, and that Notre Dame turns around and beats Virginia by that. That's why it's all about matchups. When people say, well, this team beat that team and this team beat that, so we should be able to beat them, that never works out that way. It's all about
Yeah.
matchups.
Well, that's
But
why
I can't believe Notre Dame beat Virginia by 22
that's
points.
why the NCAA tournament at the end is so spectacular and interesting, because it does matter. Matchups matter. And
Sure.
these upsets aren't that hard to call when you
mean,
know
have
what
we
the
got
matchups
any
are.
college team that hasn't lost to somebody awful? I mean, haven't they just about all had that
Purdue,
one, at least one
Purdue.
terrible game against a bad
Yeah.
team?
Well,
Well,
Is that why they're number one?
Purdue lost to Northwestern, and
Right.
Northwestern's Northwestern got killed by a couple teams. So
Sure.
I think
Sure.
Purdue's the only team that doesn't have a bad loss. I don't
Well,
know.
I think
Where did the lights go, by the way? I can barely see you guys now.
I
No?
don't know.
We
I
can
see
see you just
you.
fine.
I think it's
Okay.
that
Nothing
purple
changed on our
sweatshirt
end.
that's just kind of coming off Curry College.
Curry College. I got to find out their schedule. I'll have that for you next time.
Okay.
Because
All
I
right,
think
that'll
She'll be playing on
that'll be good to
ESPN.
have. Any great
yeah.
thoughts? NBA thoughts?
How about my New York Knicks? They finally
Oh,
traded
here we
Barrett.
go. Here we go. Yeah,
Hallelujah! They traded
they
Barrett. I
traded for
love
some guy named any unknown or
it.
something. What's the guy's name,
Curry,
Rich?
he's good.
What's
He's
his
very
name?
good.
Pronounce his
It's
name
good.
for me.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
You have no idea. Nobody knows how to pronounce his name. But you finally got rid of Barrett, so you love
I
that,
love
right?
that. I love
Yeah.
it. I mean, he goes 2 for 3 last week and 3 points. I figure that's the worst thing that could happen to them, because now he thinks he can make them. And the next game he goes 0 for 7.
Oh,
And I
I
blame the
just went
coaching
out.
staff
Oh, it's my
to
fault.
allow him to
Oh,
shoot those
God.
threes like that. When you
All
shoot
right,
that
Curry's
poorly,
adjusting. So go ahead, Rich. Tell us some more.
well, I was
Who
just
you
saying to
liking
the
in the
coaching staff
NBA?
of the Knicks to allow Barrett to continue to shoot 3-pointers they should take the blame. He's not a 3-point shooter. I don't care. I mean, you and I, all three of us can make a couple every once in a while. He goes 2 for 3. Okay, he's a good shooter. No, he's not. He's a downhill player. Take it to the rack, get fouled. That's what you do well. Do not shoot the 3. And I'm very happy he's gone. I really am. Doesn't understand. Nick's coaching staff doesn't understand. So
Well,
I think they're
yeah.
a better team now. I do think they're a better team because of the trade.
All right. Well, we'll
Time will
find
tell.
out. I mean,
Time will tell.
they're at least a playoff team, which is something you don't have much of in New York, do you?
That's exactly right. With the Giants and the Jets, you're exactly. The Yankees don't make the play. You're exactly.
Yankees and the Mets and the Giants and the Jets. Yeah, I mean, it's the Knicks town, isn't it?
Well, maybe that new league's going to come into play, and maybe they'll put a team in New York and they can win.
Oh, how bad would that be if the one team in New York that won something this year was the spring football team?
they should take half the Giant players and half the Jets, and maybe they would win. Maybe
You would.
What
be
happened to
wearing their
Curry?
stuff
Where
for
did Curry
sure.
go?
Curry's gone. He's gone to Curry College. He's doing his Curry College thing. See, I'm even wearing Columbia for you. I'm trying to help your New York thing here.
Nice, very nice.
Doing your Columbia thing. All right. Well, we don't have Curry to send us out, so I guess we're going to have to do that. It'll be championship time in the NFL when we come back. Who you got, Rich?
Winning the Super Bowl?
NFL. Yep. Because it may be like late in the month. It won't be getting close to the Super Bowl. What do you like between now and
I think the 49ers are going to win. I think the 49ers. That's my pick.
It's a pretty good pick. I certainly couldn't argue with them, although
something's happened to our voice. Can't hear. Can you hear me? I don't know.
We've lost Bob's mic. The gremlins have gotten to us today. I'm not sure what's happened, but Bob's mic just went haywire. Curry
Okay.
lost his whole connection. The technical gremlins have attacked us today, apparently telling us that we've said enough. I don't know.
Okay.
But so I guess I'll send us out on that note. Technology fails us at the end, but great show, fellas. And on behalf of the now absent Curry Kirkpatrick, the now voiceless Bob Stevens, and the great Rich Basirico, I'm Justin Jarrett. Until next time, stay out from under that bus and go loco, I guess. We'll see you next time.
Go loco.